Hello, this is Andrew from the Mobile Judge team, here to present to you the installation process of setting up the Mobile Judge application right on your local environment. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you download the source code of the project from the URL that is displayed on screen. You also want to make sure that you download the Sencha software, since this is what you'll need to use to compile and build your application after making any changes to the front-end code. Regarding the repository, there's going to be two branches. It's going to be the master branch, which contains the final deliverable code, and the development branch, which is where you're going to be making changes to the code. So that being said, let's head on over to the directory that gets created once you install Sencha, which should look like this. And you want to make sure that you copy over the development code, which is the node over here as dev for us, over here. And I renamed dev to MJ. So let's head on over to to either the Sencha.exe command prompt, or in my case I'm going to be using node.js. So let's head on over to that directory, and we're going to type in Sencha app refresh. So what this is going to do is that it's going to see if your code can be compiled and that there are no errors in terms of syntax, for example. It'll take a little bit, so I'm going to skip ahead. Alright, perfect. So now we're going to run Sencha app build production, since everything under the refresh command seems to have compiled just fine. And what this is going to do is that it's going to compile the project's front end as a whole, which includes its resources such as images, the classic and modern folders which correspond to the desktop and mobile versions of the site respectively, and any of the models and routes contained within the app folder. This will also take a while, so I'm also going to go ahead and skip ahead. Alright, now that this was done, we're going to head on over to the build folder, which is created over on the project side, build, production, and you're going to grab all these files, and you're going to place them right over to the master code. Over here. It'll take a while to push everything in there, so I'm also going to skip ahead. Alright, perfect. So now that that is done, let's make sure that we grab the MJ box file, which is what we're going to be using for our virtual environment. Oh, by the way, you want to make sure that the following software is also installed in your system, which are Git and Git Bash, Vagrant, and VirtualBox. I want to put the links to those particular softwares right on the screen. So let's head on over here and place the box file right on there. So now let's go on ahead and open up Git Bash. Let's make this a little bit bigger, so this is going to be the main focus for now. And we're going to CD in there. So it's going to be documents, video, and vagrants. Alright, so now you're going to be running this command. Paste it. Well, let me also make sure to head back over here and just pay attention to the files that we added here. Now we're going to initialize the instance, the VirtualBox instance that is. Okay, so now that that particular instance has been created, we're going to go on ahead and open up the Vagrant file, and we're going to make sure that it's structured in a similar fashion as this. So the things that we want to make sure stay intact are the host ports, and we also want to make sure that the synced folder, which is what we're going to be using in order to push our code that is currently on this local environment right onto the virtual environment. So that being said, we're going to head on over here, grab this directory, which is for the master code, grab documents, paste it here. We want to make sure we're using the right directory, so this should be fine. This should be left untouched for now. So once that is saved, we're going to type in Vagrant up And this also takes a while because I need to set up the virtual environment, so I'm going to also skip ahead. Alright, perfect. It seems like the virtual environment is now initialized, so we're going to go on ahead and SSH in there. So Vagrant SSH. Let's give it a little bit of time. Alright, now we're in. But before we start navigating to the priority directories, let's change a couple of configurations in our MySQL config file. So let's go on ahead and run this particular command. We're going to head on down to a particular line that we want to change. The buffer size specifically, buffer pool size over here. Let me change this to 20. Oh, sorry, there we go. Perfect. So now we're going to run a couple more commands in order to actually apply these changes. So we're going to stop the server. And then we're going to start the configuration. Now we are going to head on in there by typing MySQL. Root. Alright, now we're in here, so now we're going to set up a new password for the database. You can set it to however you want, but in my case, I'm going to be putting this query down. I'm going to also be putting the query up on screen, just so you know what it is. In my case, I'm using the password 123. You can use it for whatever you want. Just keep in mind that that's the password you're going to be using to access the database itself. Oh, let's get back in there, actually, before we do anything else. Oh, no, I exited by accident. Okay, let's just SSH back in there. All right, perfect. So let's MySQL with the new password that we typed in. So now we're going to type in drop database on line judges 7. This is to ensure that we have like a fresh database installed. I'm going to create and then exit. So let's head on over to the actual priority directories. So share, nginx, HTML. Oh, that's not HTML yet. So here you see two folders. The HTML one corresponds to where we're going to be running the API for the application itself. And HTML sync refers to the folder that we specified in this particular directory over here. So keep in mind, this is the master branch code, and this is the directory where it was placed in, which corresponds to this. So what we want to do is we want to copy over the files from HTML sync to HTML. So the reason why we're doing this is because of a later part in the installation regarding installing modules for Node.js. It becomes a little bit iffy if we use the same synced folder and we're trying to install those modules. So it's best to keep these things separated. So now that that is done, we're going to verify that everything is in here. It is perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in sudo. Let me just copy paste the command so I don't make any mistakes. Sudo auth-d init. This is just to initialize the auth things, and we're going to type in auth-d. Yes. This will also take a while to install, so I'm also going to skip ahead. So it seems there was an error regarding the installation of the plugins for the OAuth installation process. It's talking about a missing copy script. So we're going to go on ahead and manually install that by running this command. Sudo npm install flag g copy script. We're going to wait for that to install. Perfect. So now let's head on over to auth-d and make sure that this runs correctly. So auth-d start. See if that works. Alright, perfect. It works just fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to navigate to the API folder And we're going to run sudo npm install. We're going to install the rest of the modules with this. I'm also going to skip ahead since we're going to be installing a lot of modules here. Alright, so now that that is done, let's go on ahead and run sudo node index. I was complaining about not having Lodash. So you might actually need to install these particular modules yourself. This particular error can happen often when you try to do the installation. I don't really know the cause of it, so we're going to do install sudo npm install Lodash. Alright, let's see. What else? Yep, we need to install all of these. So I'm just going to speed this part. Alright, perfect. So the modules were installed successfully. So now, once we initialize the server, it actually filled up our database with the necessary tables based on the models that we have defined in the API using SQLize. So if we were to head on over to this particular address, this corresponds to this, or you can use whatever is denoted here, not here, over here, should be fine. Doesn't really matter which one you use. So let's head on over to page3myadmin. Roots, you're going to use the password you set up earlier, and you're going to confirm the tables have been added, yep. But we're actually going to import from a dump that we have from the production site. So we're going to do cd, we're going to do mysql p online judges 7, which corresponds to the database that we're working with, online judges, and this is the dump that we're going to be using to push stuff in there. Enter the password, and then just watch it push things in there. It won't take that long. Alright, so now that that's done, we're going to cd API, and we're finally going to see how the website looks like, just to see if everything's working. So head on over to this address, and it should have loaded successfully. There you go. So we're going to log in with Sahari's email. He'll provide you with the credentials, I'd imagine. And here you go. This is the mobile judge application running on your local environment. So everything should be in order. You have the event map, the email templates, stuff like that. Everything should be filled up. Should also have the students, the grades, the stats, and the settings that you can set. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the installation process. Thank you.